if you can see me, I'm pulling my hair out. Well, I would if I had my hair to pull out. It all fell out years ago. If you can't see me, then it makes no difference. I'm talking to myself, which is nothing unusual. I talk to myself quite a bit. But if you can see me, we've no idea at this moment in time if you can see me. My son's now messing around with the laptop to see if we can see me. And then once we know we can see me, we know you can see me. But the problem is, when we're at a demo, a live demo, and I'm standing in front of a woodturning club, I can see the people and they can see me. So I can see if you're falling asleep, I can see if you're getting bored, I can see all sorts of stuff. But on this live stream, I haven't got a clue at the moment, and all we can do is we're testing it on another iPad. We can't see it on the iPad. So hopefully, good morning. Well, it's now 12 minutes past 10. I was supposed to start at 10. Trust me, I started at 10. But it all went peak-tong. The laptop fell over because I hadn't plugged it in. We had a live stream running that wasn't going live. We were trying technology. The lathe's all right. I know how to work that. Fingers crossed it didn't break down. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to do a bowl using the techniques that I used to create some of my work. This piece of work here, if I bring it up close to the camera, hopefully you can see the texturing and colour on that. This piece was called Cosmos or Cosmo, something like that, and it's been stained and coloured. This went to America with me last year to the AAW seminar. Then this piece has used the same colour texturing technique. If I bring that up close, you should be able to see the ball type cut burr piercing and the hollow ball piercing at the bottom with a bit of piercing. This came to the AWGB with me in 2016. No, 2018. We're 20 now. What we are going to do, what we're aiming to do today is we're going to create this little bowl. Now I showed this on Facebook a week ago, and the rim is textured in much the same, exactly the same way really. Now this takes a bit of time. This rim here took me about an hour, and this is like a little 8-inch bowl. Don't worry, I've got a blue Peter moment because you're not going to be watching me texturing a rim of a bowl for an hour. I'm just going to show you how I do it, and then from there, hopefully, how I finish it. And we've got a bit of turning, obviously, with the bowl turning. So, without further ado, and I do thank you for your patience, I'm back. I've got a 9-inch sycamore bowl blank here. A lot of the work that I do is done with sycamore. I pre-drilled a hole, 7.5mm in here, and we're going to use this device, a screw chuck, which most of you be familiar with. Now the screw chuck is going into the lathe, and in just a second I'm going to switch cameras. I've got 2 cameras, and I'm just going to have to tilt the first camera that I'm talking to you on now over to the work. I did, or have got, a third camera, but needless to say I couldn't get the third camera working. Now the guy that does most of our IT thing, Dunk, is probably watching. Yes. He's not here because of the coronavirus. We've been locked down here for a week. And what's happened is, where we would have these little issues, this is Dunk's strong point. He may not be a wood turner, but he understands this sort of stuff, and we're messing around trying to get it to work. So anyway, with the screw chuck, we are now going to put this onto the lathe. Let me just switch this camera over for you. I'm going to wind this onto here, like so. Right, we're just going to finish winding this blank on here. Hold on, let's give you a different angle. So we wind this blank on here, onto the screw chuck, up to the jaws. Make sure she's on nice and tight. Now I'm going to bring the tailstock up with the live centre. Now whenever I'm turning faceplate work on a screw chuck and it's possible to bring up the live centre tailstock, I always do. And now just adjust the tool rest, pinch it up, turn the blank by hand to make sure she's not going to catch, and then once you're ready, lock it down. Now, I can see there's a bit of chat. So, we've got a problem with the audio, it seems it's out of sync. Oh no, I understand, we've fixed the audio sync. So, what we're going to do here, just turn the speed up a little bit. Now, a lot of people are worried about turning, and they say, what speed do you turn at? You turn at a speed that's comfortable for you. Do not stand at a lathe with the thing whipping round at a million miles an hour and you're thinking, oh dear, turn it down. Or if the blank's out of balance, turn it down so we don't get the vibration through the lathe. Now with this cut, I've got my handle into my body here. The handle is trailing the cutting edge. I slide the tool rest up the tool rest, bring in my cutter with a razor the handle, and then literally transfer my weight as if I'm taking a little step across the side, like the side of the lathe. You can see my body coming forward, so I'm going to do the same again. There. Now I lifted my handle higher that time to get a more aggressive cut to remove a bit of wood. Now I can take a fine cut. Like so. Now we've got our bowl blanking to round. We're going to set up to turn the outside shape. Now the book's reference is that you always turn uphill, so away from the centre to the rim. I turn the other way, I turn into the centre. I find with tight grain woods like sycamore it works fine. If I'm using a wood that does tear out in this way, then I will tackle it by turning the other way around. Sometimes you'll find that turning tight grain wood the right way round will tear out, and if that's the case, then try cutting it the other way. So now I'm just twisting my hip into the lathe, my right hip twists into the lathe. As I pick the cut up, I twist my hip into the lathe and slowly raise the handle in coordination with the twist of the hip into the lathe, and I start to create my outside curve. Wood turning is all about coordination and timing, so this we have to learn as we go along. And now you can see the shape really coming round quite nicely as I take these cuts around there and in towards the centre. And I'm building up a bit of waste wood here to put my spigot on in a minute. Now, what I was thinking, I prefer the ogee shape. So, what I'm going to do is adjust the tool rest around here, just raise it a bit, and I'm going to go the other way, technically the right way, because I'm going to create an ogee. And the way I create my ogees there is I use a sort of push cut. So I rub the back of the bevel there, bring the handle towards my body, and I come round, and now I'm coming round, but now I want to go the other way, so I twist my body back into the lathe, and you can see now we're forming an ogee. So I'm going to do... Now I've got the tailstock out of the way, I can come round and recreate the shape. I just bring my body around away from the lathe and now start turning my body into the lathe with the gouge, and that will form our ogee. So pick up the cut away from the lathe, get the outside curve, and then as I get here, push in and twist my body towards the lathe, and then that gives us our ogee shape. The lathe centre gets in the way, and now I can just refine the bottom curve coming back the other way. Raise the handle into there. So we've got a nice shaped bowl, just a line there that I want to get rid of, so very fine cut. Into there. Yeah. Now, what you can do with your bowl gouge, and I use a longer grind bowl gouge, right? If I've got any torn grain, I can come on the side bevel and then just do a fine shear cut around my bowl like so. I'm just watching the line that I'm cutting off here. There. I just can see just a little bump there, and we just clear that off. I'm just slightly brushing the gouge around, and there, that is somewhere where we want it. Just finally picking up a little cut there. There. Now that should be our outside shape. What I'm going to do now is mark out my dovetail. My jaws are 46mm, so I'll come on here to 46. Now I use a vernier for this, and you just scrape with the left hand point, this point. Can you see with this point? You do not put the right point into the wood unless the person standing behind you you want to get rid of, because if you put it in there it's going to catapult and stab them, so don't do that. So we come over left hand point, and what I'm looking for is the line that's matched up with my right hand point and draws my circle like so. There. Now I know that's where my spigot needs to be. What I do to cut my spigot is I literally use a skew as a scraper, negative brake scraper, and I literally start the cut, and as I push in I raise my handle there. And what I'm doing is I'm looking on this face when I've reached that line, and I just can tidy that up just there. Now what I'm really concerned with is this is flat there. You can see, you shouldn't see a light between there. I don't want to be able to get a 5-pound note between this surface and my jaw surface when I turn this bowl around. So that should be the outside of our bowl done. Now what we're going to do while we're doing this is we're just going to sand this quickly. I'll get Joe to turn the extractor on so you can sand. Round there. Now what I'll do is I'll get Joe to read out any questions that are questions wood turning related that I can answer. Anything technical about the setup for our live stream, I haven't got a clue, and hopefully by the time I do the next one I'll understand it a lot more. I just want to get in there, round. And now I'm going to quickly just go through a couple of grits because you don't want a demonstration on how to sand. So there, this is a Simon Oak Pro Sander. They work on an inertia reel basis and it spins against the speed of the lathe, and we just apply a bit of pressure on the tip, bring it around. There. The largest one that's there. So I turn my straws round. No. About what happens here is people sometimes get the bowl come flying off the spigot because they over tighten the spigot. So all you need to do is, as it's pinched up there, 1/4 of a turn, and that should be enough. Now what I'm going to do is turn the lathe on, turn it up slowly, and what I'm looking for, it's running true here. If it's running true here, then it's sitting in the jaw properly and not right spanner. Now I take the screw chuck out. What a lot of people do is they take the screw chuck out too soon. That thing. They take the screw chuck out straight away and then turn it around and put it in the jaw. If you're not very good at cutting the spigot and you get it wrong, you then have to wind it back on a screw chuck, which is a coarse thread, and it becomes a little loose. Well, if you have 3 or 4 attempts at that, you'll never get it because it's then really loose on the screw chuck. So leave your screw chuck in, have a spanner handy, which I didn't. I was trying to describe to Joe where the spanner was, and then you can wind it off afterwards. So now we've got our bowl. That's the extractor self-cleaning. Not a round of applause for what I've done so far. So now we've got the basis of the bowl done. We're just bringing the tool rest up. So it's just really below centre height. So when the tool comes through, it's on centre. Okay? So I turn the lathe back on to a speed that I'm comfortable with. It's not a speed I'm comfortable with. This is a speed so you can see what's happening. We're spinning at about 1400 RPM and I can just rub the bevel, pick the cut up there. And as I come in, I just raise the handle into centre. I just want to finally clean off this face. There. I'm not about the middle too much because that's going to come out in a while. There. So hopefully that's void of marks, and now what we're going to do is just give this a quick rough sand straight in with something like a 120 grit. Not too worried about this. Is 120, that'll do. I'm not going to bother turning the extractor on because this is just literally that rim bit there. I could turn the extractor on because it'd give me another round of applause, so it makes me feel good, but we're not going to do that. So now I've got my tool rest in position here. I'm going to use this, a little beading tool, and insert a couple of beads, and I start with my handle low, offer the points up, and as they start to cut I just raise my handle and rock the tool backwards and forwards till I form my bead. So I come in like this, just gently, just near the rim there. You can see the shavings, there's no real pressure here. Slowly raising my handle. And that's that bead. I'm going to put in a second bead, and I'm going to put that in about here. Same idea, handle low, no pressure, slowly raise the handle, rocking the tool from side to side. Until I get a nice little round bead like that. So I've got 2 beads set into this piece of work. So that's the start of our turning done. Now, we're going to start applying a bit of decoration, but what a lot of people would do here is take the work out of the chuck. I never think it goes back in exactly the same, so I leave the chuck. Done this last night. So I use a little C-spanner. I just give that a tap. I'll put that somewhere safe. It's on the shelf, so when I forget in a minute, everybody can say to me it's on the shelf.
It's behind you.
So, there's our bowl for the start. Now, full of decoration. Got a bit of board here, just to hold that. And I'm going to use a little smoke extractor. This is our micromotor, and what we're going to use is some cutters. Ball cutter, which is that one. If I bring it up to the camera, are we on that camera? We're on this camera. So if it focuses on that, that's a ball, ball burr. I'll put that against the wood, you may be able to see that. And we're going to use some cutters. And they're these little things here, and they're recessed over, so you won't see this too well, but it's a cup, so there's a hollow in the cup. And I've got 4 sizes of these, so I use all 4 sizes and I'm going to create a random pattern. If I get these cups out, and I want the diddy one, real diddy one there. Now we do this quite randomly, so I start with the ball cutter in there, lock it into place. Now I'm going to attempt to leave these cutters on the piece of wood, so I'm not diving around all over the place. Once it's started up, I support my right hand with my left hand, and I just plunge it into the wood. Sounds like you're at the dentist, right? And you would just go round the work, just putting them in a random pattern, and you can just group a couple, or you can have a cluster. And I just keep going round the whole rim of the bowl, like that. With the ball cutter first of all. Once I've done that, I remove the ball cutter, and then I start with my cup cutters. I'm going to use the largest one first. I'm only going to do a very small area to give you the idea. So with the big cup cutter, I now puncture in some holes around the hollows. And it really doesn't matter if I overlap. What I have got to be careful of is I don't hit the beads. So that's why I'm being careful. Now normally what I would do is I would put on my 3.5 magnification reading glasses that I put down last night so I could easily pick up this morning, and guess what, without my glasses I can't see it. And I come to another size of cup cutter rather, come to another size and I turn it on, and now I fill in some of the gaps. If it's a nice day and you're doing this, do it outside. If not, you want this smoke. And now you can see that we've got this pattern coming into here. The next, I go to the next size of cutter. And I do this quite random, so I'd work on an area, then come to another area, then another area. I wouldn't do it so it stays random. Then I come in here, like so. Now you don't have to do it all at once, you can do a bit and then step back and have a look, but I get in a series of different size cups. Once I've been all the way around the rim, I'm going to have a few little spaces left in there. So if I take that out, and then I get the tiniest of cutters. Here, got a pair of glasses. Let's put these on. And then what I'm going to do is just infill the space. So this is where you have to be careful. And all I'm trying to do is get rid of any of the flat surface wood that I can see. Now I can appreciate you might not be able to see too much of this because my hand's in the way of the cutter. But it will only take a second and I can show you the finished result. There.
Good job you cleaned under your fingernails with that zone.
Right, so we should, let me remove the cutters. If I lift them up and tip them on the floor, it will take me an age to find them. We should then land up with a little texture pattern like that, which doesn't look a lot, but there. Now, what I normally do, as I said, is I would leave the piece in the chuck till finish. Well, I did another piece last night, and what I forgot to do was to leave it in a chuck. So I'm going to do something that I wouldn't normally do, and that is remove this from the chuck. So here's my blue Peter piece to show what it would look like. That's how we start, and this is how we would land up. As I say, this is about an hour's work to do this room, thereabouts. We're now gonna just put the chuck back on the lathe here, remove the piece that's in the chuck and replace it with our other piece. Fingers crossed that it's not too far out. We're just testing this now, and it is just a tad out, but there's plenty there that I'll be able to adjust this with a touching of the gouge. Right, so there's a little brass brush. You can use a liming brush. This is like a suede brush, you know, what you use your old hush puppies with. I haven't got any hush puppies, but I've got the brush. And all I'm going to do is now brush round here, removing any of the charcoal, dust, That's got rid of the loose. So once we've done that, what I do now to enhance this still further, I use the chestnut gilt cream there, and I put this, build up a chunk on my forefinger, rub it together with my thumb, use my thumb as a reservoir so I don't get any lumps, and then lightly brush over the rim like so. Now what I do in real life is I will go over this 3 or 4 times, just lightly doing, and this was something that I was taught by Nick Agar. I did the course with the Viking Sunset Bowl some years ago, and the way Nick applies his gilt cream is just like this, just lightly to the surface. Doesn't matter. Here you can see the gilt cream going on. I'm just being careful that I don't get it onto the beads or the other surfaces. Here you can see the rim finished with the gilt cream on. I would normally apply a few more coats, but this gives you the general effect. Wax to put onto this if you want a different colour, all sorts of stuff. So you can just play around with it. Now that's on, we're on 2 cameras, I think. I'm going to turn the speed. Anybody from the RP, if you're watching, I'm sorry about my small handle. Some people come up and over into the centre. I don't. I'm at all horizontal. Rub the back of the I lean the handle forward towards the light. Right cutting position, and then I scoop away. You don't get a centre. Now, if you're doing this and you snap off the centre as you go in, it doesn't need to be that hard. Bevel, twist. I'll show you what I'm forward rub. No snap. I'm just going to rub the back of the bevel here, pick up the cut by leaning forward, pick the cut up, and then just a smooth cut into the centre. I've just got a little clicking noise here as I'm coming through the middle. There's something not quite right, so we'll stop the lathe and check. And there's our reason. We've got a big pith line coming through the middle of the bowl. It's a different density of wood, and as we're passing the tool over it, I can feel and hear there's something. So always check if you can feel or hear something different to see what it is. So now, some people wouldn't like this. I don't mind if I've got nature's marks inside of a bowl. I think it adds to it. So I'm just going to pick up another cut here and gently pass the tool over knowing that I've got to contend with this different density of wood as I come through the centre. We had a little line on the inside of the bowl, and that's just cleaned it away, just a gentle cut to clean it away. Now the rear of the bowl is slightly out because I'd remounted this bowl blank into the chuck. Normally I leave the work, as I said earlier, in the chuck all the time until it's finished. So I'm just going to tidy it up. Now I've just noticed I've got a mark on the rim here, just on that inside rim. You never want to let work go out like this because people are always going to see it. So I'm just taking a very fine cut. You can see the shavings flying up in the air. It's a real fine cut just to tidy that up. Now when you pick this sort of cut up, once you get it going and you've cleared your mark, you've got to follow this cut right the way into the centre so it can stay as a nice, consistent, smooth line. And we're just tidying this up now, picking the cut up, and there we go, just in there. Real light, ultra fine cut, just really fine shavings into the centre, and as we get to the centre, slow right up, and then we just come through on centre and we move that centre pip. Over the top, and I just want to rub the back of the bevel there, bring my handle to my body, there, back in. And that's just tidied that up now. I'm a bit wrong there, so I'm just going to rub the side of the bevel, roll the gouge over, and use like a shear cut around the back of the bowl. Now all of that was on my wrist. By twisting my wrist, I was just twisting around the cut. Bevel rub, roll the wrist over clockwise, come round just gently. As I come to this point, start slowly rolling my wrist anti-clockwise. Bevel rub anti-clockwise. And I just want to get rid of a couple of those fine lines there. There, that will do that. Turn that speed down a little bit. I spin these things normally around about 1500, give the paper time to cut. There. There. And I'll just go to me 180 that's in here somewhere, 120, I want to do the inside of the bowl quickly, so I'm just going in with 120 in there. Oop. Now, gonna go in with a bit of 80. I forgot about that pip, and that just caused me a little line just there. Let me get rid of that. That's done it. Back to me 120. I'm going to stop at 240 because I'm going to use my finish, and the finish that I'm going to use is Yorkshire grit and Hampshire sheen. There's me 180 on the inside. Now me 240 inside and out. There. That's me standing. Here we're just using a tack cloth to wipe off the loose dust before we start applying any finish. Puts down my base layer. Now a lot of people say you've got to use it with sanding sealer first. I don't bother, I just go straight on. I've never had an issue with it like this. So any process that I can take out of the process of finishing something, I do. I just bring this around here, work my Yorkshire grit into the wood, then the outside edge. I'm going to do this bit quite quickly. It's a very quick process. This is what I use for instant finishing of my work. If I'm doing a lesson for someone, they want to go home with their shiny bowl, so we just whip this on with a bit of wax and they can go home with their shiny bowl. A lot of people, a lot of wood turners rush the finish of their work. If this was going to be a piece of work for a competition, I'd sand to 600 grit, and then I would start building up coats of wax, maybe 5 or 6 coats of wax, buffing in between each coat. But this is instant. So there's our Yorkshire grit on, and you can see the amount that comes off. Turn the cloth, paper towel I use, paper towel over until it stops coming off, which is quite quick. About there. I'm just going to get in that bead there and there, rim, and then the outside. Quick turn of the towel. I used a pre-waxed piece of cloth that's kept in my waxed in, and you're far better off with a little wax, just a thin coat, and buffing it up and building this up with 2 or 3 coats. And just get the wax into the bead here, and then we'll be ready to buff. With my fingers, that's wax. Okay, there, round the rim. Now we'll just buff the bowl up, supporting my right wrist with my left hand and just using my body to rock backwards and forwards, so I can move the cloth around to buff up the bowl. Just going to do the rim here, just back on the inside with the action backwards and forwards, and then I move to the outside, but now support my left wrist with my right hand, forming the same action. The question on finish, you can see from this piece I've never put anything other than the gilt cream on it, yet with the other piece that I did that's coloured, that I shall bring to the screen now, this was coloured with gilt cream over the top, and I did use a acrylic satin lacquer over it to seal it. Speaking to Terry, it's not recommended to use the lacquer on the gilt cream, but I've done it here and it works well, and I've done so many times before. Now we can see the bowl. We're just going to take it off the chuck to put it onto the Longworth chuck in just a moment. You can see this now, that's shine on the bowl with just 1 coat of wax. And just lock that in there. Now, turn your lathe speed down. Longworth more than about 600 RPM. So I just bring this up, it centralises the bowl, and I lock one wing nut off one way, and as I wind it in, the soft rubber of the Longworth chuck, it's a soft neoprene rubber, squashes up and grips the outside rim of the bowl. It grips it nicely all the way, and I can work the whole of this area in one rather than having it on a friction plate or something and then having a pit to deal with at the end. So I just come up to there. Make sure it turns by hand. You've got to be careful that you don't get your hand over and caught in the rubber. And then I just turn the speed up a little bit. Make sure she's running about right. Just a little bit high on tool rest. There. I'll bring the speed up to about 600. Something like that. And then just carefully pick a cut up here. Now don't forget it's spinning slow, so it's going to take longer to cut. That's all speed does for you on the lathe really, in my opinion. The faster it spins, the faster you cut. And on something like this, I'm just travelling slow. I'm just raising my handle a little bit as I come in to the centre. I'll just let that in now, take the pressure off the handle, let it glide into the middle. As we take this cut, we're just going to rub the little bit on the edge here, just on the edge, and then as I pick the cut up, just here, I'm picking the cut up, then I'll just raise my handle just a little bit more than before, and this way I can create a concave base to the bottom of the bowl so it stands well on a surface. Just got to be careful that I just don't take too much wood because we're just in the Longworth chuck, so we try not to take too much. Just a smooth cut to the middle, remembering that this bowl's turning quite slowly so we don't force the cut, just gentle as we go into the middle. We've just got a little mark in the bottom of the bowl here, so I'll just use the tool just gently to remove that and tidy it up. Now we're just sanding up with the Pro Sander to clean off the bottom, ready to apply a finish. It doesn't take very long, just applying a bit of pressure on the tip. And now we're going to apply this Yorkshire grit. I work it into the grain, and then once it's fully applied and covered, I shall get the bit of cloth now, or a bit of paper towel rather, and we'll spin the lathe up and work it in, making sure the grit's well worked into the surface. We're just applying a bit of Hampshire Sheen high gloss wax. I used a pre-waxed piece of cloth that I keep in the tin, applying very little at a time. Now we just give the bowl, bottom of the bowl a little buff up using a bit of paper towel. Just polish up this amateur sheen so it matches the rest of the bowl. Now we just remove the bowl from the Longworth chuck by undoing the rubber grommets with the wing nuts at the back. Sorry it was a faff at the start, not a techno guru. I'm planning on doing one of these a week for you while this virus thing goes on, because I know a great many of you rely on going to your wood turning clubs on a Saturday for their meeting or an evening meeting, whatever, but you know, you've not got that at the moment. It's gone. I'm normally paid by clubs to come round and demonstrate and do 3 or 4 projects in a day. I don't think anybody wants to sit in their armchair for a whole day. Well, maybe, might pass your time away. But I thank everybody for their support, the support to me and Oliver's wood turning. It's been a pleasure doing this for you. Good luck.